Timmy.
What's going on?
Yeah,
Raimondos.
Not much. Kind of well rested.
Yeah?
Yeah, it finished at a kind hour for us. So
It did. 12:30 feels like 7.
I know, snug back in bed before 1 a.m.
Yep.
Feeling refreshed.
No,
So
I was in bed as soon as the race was done.
Yeah.
I was not motivated to stay up and watch the post.
didn't hear from you.
Yeah, I was switched off, went to bed. 11 o'clock start though. I can get used to that now. I'm happy we're in that stage of the season.
Yeah, we've got a few races where it's kind of that 11 p.m. ish.
Yeah,
start
that's not
time.
too bad at all.
Yeah, for those of us who work on Mondays.
That's me. Yeah, bright and early.
Yeah, not me.
Bright and early.
Yeah. Bit wet out there too today. So.
Oh mate, it's swimming pools.
Yeah. Okay, so I got a question for you. It's probably the most important question of the whole Grand Prix.
Oh wow, lay it on me.
Does Imola deserve to remain on the calendar?
Yes, clearly it does.
Does it?
Yes.
Why? Tell me why. Sell it to me.
Well, there's 24
Sell
spots.
me this pen.
There's 24 spots for a start.
Mhm.
I think that absolutely deserves one. Even if you just straight away based off some of the tracks that are on the calendar that could go. But the track itself is a great track and it produces good racing.
Yeah.
We saw this race. It was probably a bit light on some action. I definitely anticipated it being a more full-on Grand Prix.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe some red flags in there, maybe a lot of safety cars and carnage. Even after quali, it looked that way.
Yeah.
But even just the one-on-one, the 1v1 racing was pretty intense. And we've seen some good moves crafted. The track itself is a driver's track, if you will.
Okay, we're back to driver's tracks.
Yeah. I mean, maybe we should get rid of him because Max seems to keep fucking winning them all.
Yeah.
Through these driver's track.
Well, he's a driver.
Is it not? He's he is. He's a driver. You're on the nose there. It's just great to see a track that is tarmac, curb, dirt. No runoff.
It makes a big difference, even visually.
And just the racing. I mean, we saw Pierre go off. We saw Albon go off. We saw Colapinto go off. Small mistakes are punished.
It feels like a track from a different era.
Yeah, absolutely. And another reason it should stay, like, it's unfortunate. It took, like, COVID happened and it sucked. We got this track back on the calendar because of COVID.
One of the few positives that we got from it.
Exactly. And it stayed on the calendar and it should stay on the calendar.
What about if they, how they're talking about possibly having it as a rotating roster between Imola and Spa?
No, you need Spa.
It's shocking, isn't it?
You need Spa.
Can you imagine only having Spa every second year?
Yeah, no, that's silly. But I know I think anyway, the Hungaroring's back. Maybe for this year, actually.
Yeah.
That was a great track. So that's where it's tough. Like, if you're talking about taking it off for some of these other good tracks.
Yeah.
But even the Hungaroring, when it used to be on the calendar, it would alternate with Nürburgring. And they would alternate, because they're both German tracks, I guess they'd only get one on the calendar.
Yeah.
Year to year, they'd alternate those two.
Yeah.
So it's happened before, but if they would alternate it with Monza, which I know is the home of Formula One and the home of speed and whatnot, I'd be okay with that. I'd be okay with the two Italian tracks being alternated.
Probably makes a bit more sense being in the same country.
Yeah.
Monza is usually a bit of a dull race.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of straight.
Great crowd, but you know where that crowd will go? I don't know how far away the two tracks are, but I imagine they'll make the trek.
Well, that's right. Well, apparently Imola is closer to Ferrari's home base anyway. Yeah. Compared to Monza. So
makes sense. But no,
I think if you're picking between those, if you can only have one Italian race, I'm picking Imola over Monza.
Yeah, I do agree.
So
I do agree. But
I know one person who wants Imola to stay.
Who's that?
That'd be MaxiPad.
Yeah.
Seems to like it very much.
He does. What's 4 in a row?
4 in a row now.
4 in a row there?
Yeah.
Pretty cool. Must be all of them since it's come back because they missed a year for the rain.
Pretty much.
He must have won every, which is not surprising based on his run.
If it's not every, he's only maybe dropped one.
Maybe
probably to Hamilton.
Yeah. For the COVID year, maybe.
Yeah. So you want to speed run it for us?
Yep.
Let's get it.
Let's do it.
Round 1. Player 1. Ready. Player 2. Ready. Fight.
Ayrton Senna and Alain Prost, the only McLaren drivers to win 4 in a row. This record stays safe for at least 4 more races. Midweek, Flavio Briatore, and yes, I've switched up the fossils, says Franco needs to be fast, not crash, and score points. Let's see how he did.
Oh, turn 2, 3, is it going to be on the curb on the exit? It's on the grass, and you've got to accept if you're going beyond the...
Alright, qualified 5 spots behind Pierre, crashed the car and scored 0 points. Solid start. In qualifying, Oscar pulls a rabbit out as he swerves through peak hour traffic to nab another pole position to show Max he won't have it all his own way. Russell punishes James May out there to end up 3rd. Captain Slow lines up 4th. I thought we were in his era. Max's attorneys sent Oscar a letter after turn 1 stating he must refer to Max as Master Verstappen from now on, as he still has much learning to do. George said it best. Fucking Piastri, what is he doing? The whole of Australia shared those thoughts. Fear not though, as McLaren will strategise their way back. My Google search history is full of investigating which Ferrari engineers moved to McLaren before Imola. What else explains the absolute blunder that was a 19-lap undercut attempt? Oscar did show his outstanding ability to pass cars on a track constantly recounted as tough to pass on. McLaren also clearly didn't believe Lando had the pace to catch Master Verstappen with 5 laps left, so we got to see the McLarens dicing finally. Albeit with a 14-lap differential on tyres. Lando will claim this P2 over Oscar like it's a victory. Max crosses the line first in what was a true demonstration that Red Bull do have a car they can compete with, while McLaren have 2 and can also fight their way out of a strong position.
Tough one as Piastri fans, but we still need to talk about it. So
could have been a lot worse. Is what I'm putting it down to.
Oh yeah, could have been a lot. Well, probably was a good case, a case of damage control.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah. If his damage control's 3rd.
Yeah. From his own team.
Yeah.
So we'll move into the first category, which is the final boss category. So that one obviously goes to Max Verstappen, who just missed out on pole. To be honest, it looked like it was his pole. I don't actually know how Oscar managed to pull it back off him.
It's remarkable.
Yeah. And then maybe it was a blessing in disguise because he had a heck of a run into turn 1 and then picked Piastri's pocket essentially.
Yeah.
And came out on, made the move on the outside, made it stick. Very aggressive. I mean, basically, Max woke up and chose violence.
It's tough because we saw through the race that was the favourite. Outside at Tamburello was the move. If you could,
the optimal passing corner.
Yeah. And you watch the replay and Oscar's he's a whole nose ahead. He's got the space. He should have covered it off. And then we're talking about a completely different scenario if he goes across there. So frustrating, but he did leave the door open, and it was a tough pass.
He got caught out by Max.
Yeah, it was a good move. Yeah, you can't take it away from Max. It was a banger.
I mean, it's Max showing why he's the best out there, and you can't deny him of that. I mean, it looks like that Red Bull once again isn't maybe as slow as what everyone's saying it is.
It's unbelievable.
So how much of it is car, how much of it is driver? I still think it looks very much more so driver.
Yeah.
But
his closest comparison is his teammate.
Well, yeah, and that he just broke into the top 10.
Yeah, good.
So progress for him, which suggests that the car has definitely been increased in performance quite a lot. But Max just was under control from that turn. I mean, he basically went all in and knew he had to get the move done, stuck it, and then benefited probably from quite a bit of luck, with safety cars
absolutely.
and McLaren playing silly buggers with their strategy.
Yeah, I think the back stint, the last 10 laps, shows they had the pace no matter what. So,
well, Lando couldn't catch him, right? He wasn't. Yeah, he couldn't
catch him in the mid sector of the race when he was 10 seconds behind, making no inroads, and then he just drove off in the last 5 laps. So, I do think he had the pace, but track position's king. So if Oscar holds him out, I think he's got the pace. I think they're close.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So it just came down to track position. Obviously, Max the safety car luck is just. Yeah, I've got a note later about the VSC, but oh man, it's frustrating. It is so frustrating.
It seems to be quite inconsistent as well. Like, why was the first yellow flag
VSC and the second one was a full, and they were basically 100 meters apart.
Yeah. So
I was shocked when they pulled a full safety car out based on precedence of the first one.
Yeah, I mean, it probably did help Piastri's race as well from that angle. With his battle with his tires because he had to fight through the field.
Yeah, we didn't get a fresh set Did he? He didn't get a fresh set on, did he?
On the second pit stop?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
No, he didn't pit. Because Albon was always the concern whether he'd come back through because Albon did pit. Yeah. So no, he didn't take that last stop. So he was second. That's why Lando had to re-overtake him. So I think either way, if he could have he probably could have come in because Albon pitted. But we saw it would have been a tough slog either way.
Yeah. So for noob, I had this weekend I had Aston Martin.
Ooh.
Yeah, falling out of the points. So they had both cars in the points starting. They qualified pretty well.
Yeah.
They looked like they actually had a bit of pace just to finish the Grand Prix out of the points, both cars, without any DNFs. So Alonso still pointless.
Look, I disagree with you because I've got them somewhere else. But my noob I've got is Franco Colapinto.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. For the definition of a noob. Fresh and he super bad. Super bad, super new.
Yeah.
As I spoke about in the speed run, his what Flavio expected of him just failed on all three.
The score points, be fast, don't crash.
Score points, effectively, failed on all three miserably. Like, don't crash is probably, we've seen the cars got no pace, just don't crash. We know Jack wrote it off twice, but his replacement, and this is what Franco did last year at Williams. Well, bring him in to replace the crashy Logan, and then Colapinto just goes and be just as crashy.
Crasher Pinto, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, compare essentially his debut for this season compared to Doohan's debut. Doohan had some of the worst driving conditions you could race in.
Exactly right, yeah.
Compared to Imola. Bone dry, not a cloud in the sky, perfect conditions.
Yeah. And we saw Hadjar make the same mistake in quali. Where he just coming out of Tamburello just got into the dirt. And he had the mind set to release and
he saved it, didn't he?
Survive another day. Whereas Franco doesn't have that mentality.
No.
So I think you can't rank Aston Martin noob because they clearly they brought upgrades to the car. They said that. Both cars. Whatever they brought in, it's almost like it's improved the car's pace, but they've just got some underlying issues, probably tyre wear, is we might guess based on the fall away. Because the start of that race, he was keeping up Alonso.
It still doesn't make any sense how you don't score any points. They probably had a bit of bad luck with safety cars. I mean, that's always going to be the case. Some people win, some people lose, and they lost.
Yeah.
But it's just it's tough going over there right now. So
it is. I still think that Franco's a bigger noob than Aston.
Well, I got him elsewhere.
Yeah.
So next category is the buffed category.
Yeah.
Who do you have for this one?
So I have Aston Martin, asterisk, qualifying.
Right, okay.
They clearly made the car quicker. Like, that's undisputable. Clearly, because both, Stroll's up there. Let's not forget. It's not just Alonso who's...
But qualifying doesn't get you points.
No, it doesn't. But that's why I'm putting Aston Martin here, not the drivers.
Right.
Clearly, they made the car quicker. Right? You can't dispute that. The fact that Stroll's up there with Alonso clearly made the car better. They made it into Q3 comfortably. And like I said, Alonso was keeping up. He was right on George for the first sort of 5 to 10 laps. He was keeping up. And then, they did drop away, absolutely. And we heard Alonso on the radio with more complaints, But like I said, I just imagine that's got to be something with long-term running, tyre wear, stuff like that.
Okay.
And we saw the brakes light up. That was the only car that did it.
Yeah.
So maybe, maybe they really had restricted the airflow to the brakes, which allowed that to happen. And then in the long run, you're getting brake fade, That could also have been what happened. So I think they clearly brought a good upgrade, but the car overall still needs a heck of a lot of tweak work. But I think clearly they were the biggest, just pure pace, which is what qualifying is. They had the biggest upgrade, the biggest movement, race to race.
I don't think it counts if it doesn't translate to points. You can't really call that a buff. Even if they have had said upgrades, if it doesn't amount to anything, then is it an upgrade?
Qualifying.
Oh,
Stroll does not continue his record this weekend of Q1 eliminations.
Well, he holds the record still. Just not
he doesn't extend it.
Yeah.
So who's your buff then?
Well, I gave that to Ferrari and more specifically Lewis Hamilton. So I feel like for the first time they kind of had the flip race of Aston Martin. So they qualified terribly, but then they had race pace and they made their way through the field.
Speaking of safety car luck, though.
Yeah,
Big
but
time.
again, you
Big
got winners
time.
and you got losers.
Well, I feel like we're talking pace here, but you're putting a lot more on the luck. As you said, Aston probably had bad luck if safety car.
Yeah.
Probably have good luck. So we've kind of got the switcheroo.
Well, that's
here.
Formula One, isn't it?
It is, but you can't fucking blame the team. You can't put on the team and the drivers and their performance for that sort of.
He still had to get passes done. Both of them still had to make their way through the field. They didn't just gain 6 positions.
I mean, they
purely
basically
from
got
safety
back
car.
to where they should be. Besides maybe 1 or 2 spots higher.
And Lewis finally, like a Ferrari finally figured out how to pass a Williams. You know, Williams have kind of had their ticket for a few races there.
It was aided by a cheeky Charles.
It was. But Hamilton getting 4th, I think, you know, again in an Italian race.
That's not gonna make the Tifosi too happy though. I don't think they're ecstatic.
No, they seem to like they're pretty supportive of him and they're happy.
They're supportive of him, but they're not there to watch them come forth.
No, but they were what, 12th and 13th or something, 11th and 12th.
11th and 12th, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think they had the biggest buff. Yes, luck comes into that. They still had to get it done, and then honestly, I thought Hamilton was going to get Piastri and actually snag that 3rd place for a second there.
I felt like that was safe, but yeah, okay, interesting decision. Your buffed is based on luck, but it's all good.
Oh, your buffed is based on
Pace, yeah.
no points, no performance.
That's right.
Ferrari came out of the weekend with more
make-
points than Aston Martin.
Yeah, well, they should be. They're a fucking way better car and team and driver pairing.
Well, they should be, yeah, and that's why I gave them the buffed, because they haven't been.
They haven't been better.
They've all season they've struggled. They've struggled to come to grips.
And I
with
think
the
they
car.
still struggled because again, qualifying is where your pace is the truest and where they end up. I mean, look at Charles. Charles bitched and moaned the whole race and qualifying. He wasn't happy all weekend. Again, he got away with it. He got lucky. Yeah, he didn't think the car would. They didn't even have a damn set of tires for the boy towards the end of the race.
Well, allegedly.
You
Again, I think it seems like quite a few teams were caught out strategy-wise.
I think it was just weird timed safety cars where you sort of had to pit.
Yeah.
So that's why they were just sort of seemingly throwing tires at the cars.
It almost seemed like the mediums for the first stint weren't going to last long. You know, we had a handful of cars pit quite early.
Yeah.
But then it was like the longer they went on, the better they held.
Which we see every now and then. And
Yeah.
it was, you know, Bernie Collins, whatever her name is. She was saying about, you know, they get through that reprieve where they kind of come back again.
Yeah.
Which is what I was hoping was going to happen with Oscar at the end of the race. I thought maybe that long-ass safety car might have given his tyres a breather and to be able to fight. But
So nerfed then for the weekend. This one I do give to Piastri. So I feel like he had the definition. Sorry?
you blaming him?
No, so basically I'm blaming McLaren's strategy and his pit stops.
Okay. Well, so I've got
So-
McLaren's strategy department as my nerfed.
Oh, well, there you go. So we pretty much agree. So that's the definition of being nerfed. I mean, yes, he got overtaken turn 1 by Verstappen on an epic move, but then he never really got a chance to fight back for it.
No.
They took him out of the fight, put him into traffic, and then he clawed his way back up to 3rd, essentially.
Yeah.
Had to use all the life of his tyres. Straight away was put at a disadvantage to both Norris and Verstappen.
Yeah.
Didn't get the benefit of a safety car that could essentially bring him back into contention. And then it sort of flipped, and like Max benefited from the safety car and just added another 10 seconds to his lead, essentially guaranteeing him the win.
Yeah.
So McLaren's strategy was just dreadful,
It's pretty bad.
and then sloppy on the pit stops.
Yeah.
You know, like again,
The right front mechanic, he must be new.
struggling.
That's the only... Because you saw, when we were watching the highlights then, like they were tapping him on the back, you know, after he fucked it up, like trying to hype him up. Like, it's all right, man. Like, we'll get the next one.
Yeah.
Like, twice in one race to have that same issue. Like, he's got to be new.
Get me in there. I've
He's
got
gotta
great
be
hand-eye coordination. I'll secure the pit stop for
It's
Piastri.
Got to be. You don't... Like, they've been doing this all year. No issues. Come to Imola, 2 in one race. And it's just hesitation. Slow, putting the gun on the wheel. It's, you know, it's all it is. It's just...
And when it's a sport of the smallest margins, you're talking tenths of a second or hundredths of a second. an extra second or a second and a half in a pit stop, that hurts.
That's the thing. They were talking about 28 seconds lost time. He come out 32 behind or whatever, like all the traffic and whatnot, but he kind of just hovered at that 32 even once he broke free of the traffic because his tyres were so worn out.
Yeah.
You give him an extra second and a half, that's 30. It puts Red Bull. You have to then think, oh, do we allow that bit of time for, in case we get a bit of a dud pit stop? And all of a sudden, it's like, do we risk that 2-second margin?
Yeah.
And because he come out 6 seconds behind Yuki, so he had a lap or two to really cut things down. So you'd wonder, do Red Bull at that point, like literally that second and a half difference, is it enough that Red Bull go, he's right on that margin and we don't want to lose track position?
Well, it kind of took the pressure off him, didn't it?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, what a team would pay to gain a second and a half over the length of Grand Prix would be astronomical. And then they just piss it away with a poor stop.
Yeah, it's the little things. If you're gonna win a championship, and I don't think there's anything to be overly concerned about from Oscar's side of things. But if you're gonna win a championship, we know you have to get all the little things right as well.
Yeah.
And
it's
a team sport.
Yeah, this weekend's a character building weekend for him.
Yeah,
he got the pole, miracle lap.
Miracle second sector.
Doesn't box out Max off the jump. He'll learn from that.
Yeah,
and then clearly didn't have the pace in that first section of the race. Like he did drop back sort of 3 seconds. Like you got to wonder how much did they rely on him when he called in saying Strat A is a bit ambitious. Were they just like, oh, okay, bring him in? Like, but if he just gets over that hump and he stays in the race, it makes all the difference.
Yeah, that's a good point. Game. I mean, he's clearly like a talented driver who understands his car. He understands the race situation. He's proved that over the last few races, right? So if your driver's on the radio saying that plan A probably isn't ideal, you probably don't have any really reason not to listen to him.
Yeah, exactly.
So if he's suggesting that he's really struggling on tires and maybe let's switch up to plan B, two-stopper, then, he probably does have to wear some of that blame on making that call.
Yeah.
But then I guess it's up to McLaren to say, like, we don't really have a pit stop window. So
exactly right.
You're better off holding out now. Yes, it's painful. Yes, you might be losing half a second per lap. But that's better than being stuck in traffic 32 seconds back and eating up your tires.
That's the interesting thing. Like, we saw 2 cars pit or 3, like a lap before. Like, I don't know if they just took the assumption, like, okay, Oscar's struggling. We've seen 2 or 3 cars pit. They're all going to pit. But then they took a gamble, I suppose. Like, they would have been able to see on track, all right, he's going to come out. Or like I said, he come out 6 seconds behind Yuki. So they're probably like, okay, cool. Like, they'll pit. We'll be right. Of course, that's not what happened. So,
no.
Took a gamble, didn't pay off at all. And it just put him effectively, like, they all ended up doing like 2 stops because of their safety cars.
Yeah.
But it was a whole stop out of sequence straight away. And you're not going to make that up.
No. Well, yeah, where it put him a pit stop out of sequence, it put Max 10 seconds ahead.
Yeah. Because
he did get to wait out long enough and then benefit from a safety car once it did eventually come, or the VSC. So, all right. Sweaty try hard for the week. This one was a tough one. I was considering like Hamilton and Hadjar. There's a couple of Yuki even. A couple of names that did make their way through the field and had to kind of work hard. Yes, again, quite a bit of luck.
Yeah.
But I think at the end of the day, it's hard not to give it to Max. Like, I think he was still the strongest, best driver out there all weekend. I mean, everyone is talking about how much of a tractor that Red Bull is. Now they've had some upgrades. So one race is not much. It's not enough of a sample size to know if this true race pace or is this just him loving Imola and it being a track that's kind of hard to pass on. If you're a 4-time world champion, passing a 4-time world champion is a little bit different to passing a bunch of rookies and midfielders.
Look, I've given it to Alex Albon. And it's probably a little bit of
Speaking of luck.
Yeah, but where did he qualify?
No, well, that's true.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Like his pace, he finished pretty well on par. I actually think he's unlucky. Well, it doesn't matter because he finished ahead of him anyway, but I do think it's touch and go whether Leclerc should have got a penalty for what he did to Albon.
Yep.
Albon's well and truly alongside. Like, you choose to go on the outside, you do make that decision. But Leclerc was way off the racing line to get him.
To push him
the
off.
racing line is you hug left, you know what I mean? Like, he really pushed him out. Would he have done that if he didn't have Hamilton right behind him? So the fact that they redressed, and I don't know if that's why he didn't get the penalty. But him doing that to Albon lost him another spot to Hamilton.
And possibly even a potential third place. Like
Yeah.
he looked like
he had the pace of the tyres.
He had the pace on the tyres, and
Yeah. So he finished 5th, but there's a good chance he finishes 4th. You know,
possibly 3rd
if he doesn't get taken off the road. But you know, it just doesn't make sense if they didn't penalise Leclerc because he gave the position back. But they can't give Albon's position back to Hamilton, who benefited from the situation.
No,
so
but
it just doesn't.
I'll
line up.
rebuff you on that in the sense of like, should he have maybe remained a little bit more patient and look for a better move somewhere?
As we said earlier, around the outside at Tombarello is a proven move or race.
I mean, he's lucky he got out of it the way he did. Like, that was fast through there, and luckily he didn't get
even the
slowed up
rejoin
and
was a
bogged
bit
down.
risky.
Oh, yeah.
You're lucky he didn't get investigated for that.
I
Just flinging
saw the
back
way
on the track.
Hamilton had to swerve out of the way.
Yeah.
So,
It's I think he had a stellar race and a 5th place, even with the adventure off the track. It's probably around about where he should have finished.
Yeah.
Like, again, with where he qualified, the pace of the car, he just had a stellar race. So.
he did. I think he can be very proud of his race. And once again, Williams looking like the real deal. You know?
Absolutely.
Once you could sit, like, if you're up in there in like decent points, you're not just scrapping for 10th and 9th.
No, exactly.
You're getting decent points. So
up the top.
you do it once, you could probably say, oh, you know, maybe a bit of luck, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
You do it twice, you go, okay, you know, they're rolling on with a bit of form. Let's not get too excited. Now it's almost every race. It's to a point where it's like,
they're almost
are Williams back?
well, they're effectively a shoo-in for points these days.
Yeah, I mean, they're not going to win.
For one car.
Look, they're probably not going to win a race unless something quite calamitous happens at the front.
Even a podium's out of the question without. I think it's out of the question. On a straightforward race, it's out of the question. Like, they're too far behind.
Well, if he didn't have that tangle up with Leclerc, I think he does catch Piastri, and I think he does get 3rd. And that's Piastri had his race pretty much destroyed by McLaren, his own team. He was literally fighting with one hand tied behind his back.
Yeah.
And he still salvaged a 3rd place.
Yeah.
But I do think that Albon seriously could have had 3rd. And part of me almost wanted to see it. It's very conflicting when you're like, oh, I'd love to see a Williams on the podium, but
like
not
a 3rd place, you're like, I couldn't really care if
No.
for a 3rd.
No.
Obviously, I was in the back of my mind, I was monitoring. I know he's got a 16-point gap. At least he's only 3 points behind Lando with this 3rd place versus 2nd. So, like, that's
you don't want
best
that
case.
to blow
If it's
out.
1st to 2nd, it's 7 points. 2nd to 3rd, it's only 3. So, like, Lando 2nd, Oscar 3rd was pretty well best case if Oscar's going to lose to Lando, you know.
Yeah.
Max can take points at the moment.
Yeah.
it's still okay.
Yeah.
So,
did you have no? Yeah, was yours. So, next category is the your trash bro credit category.
Yep.
So this is where I had Colapinto. So we've already kind of discussed him, but Flavio said he'll drive forever if he does those 3 things.
Well,
And-
everyone will drive forever if they do those 3 things.
That's Formula One's a very easy sport.
Exactly.
Right?
Hey, just be quick, just score points and don't crash the car. Like, that's the fucking
Simple.
recipe for success, isn't it?
Yeah, simple.
Flavio, smart man.
But yeah, couldn't manage to do one of those things. So,
So 4 chances unofficially to go until we get Jack back.
well, we'll see. I mean, once again, it does seem like Flavio is favouring Colapinto.
He's all over the place.
Yeah, but pretty miserable start. You know,
Yeah.
maybe a little bit tough because it's your first race and
Oh, be fucking new. They've all got...
change the team and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But Doohan
You wanted
certainly
the smoke.
wasn't given any,
No,
you know,
he was given no room to
leeway.
breathe.
No,
It's-
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So why should Colapinto be granted the same thing just because
Exactly
he's
right.
potentially a pay driver?
Yeah.
It sounds like. Sounds like even though Doohan has been developed and he's been a part of the Alpine team for a long time and basically only got to dip a little toe in, they went, we're going to go over here because there's lots of money over here.
Yeah. And that's the sport, but at some point you need to produce a driver, you know. I mean, Pierre's clearly not going to be leading the team to
No.
the mothership.
The mothership.
Couldn't come up with
Nice
a good
one.
analogy.
Yeah.
You like that one?
Yeah, great.
You could have helped me out.
No, I was enjoying your struggle there. Yeah.
Could help me land this.
I was like, I can see the brain fade in live time.
Okay. Why your trash, bro, is the VSC.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair.
It's just there at all times. You always like you sent me a message during the race, like Oscar having already pitted and such a long delay. you're gambling. You're just waiting. Yeah. You're just waiting. And, you know, they almost were Red Bull. Like, that's such a big lead. They could just wait for a VSC. Yeah. And it happened, you know. So I was watching a bit of NASCAR today.
Jeez.
I just love motorsport. Like, they are all about entertainment. Entertainment on the TV.
Yeah.
As soon as one thing happens, minute, it's yellows and it's caution. It's compact. Let's go again.
Yeah.
They have a competition caution halfway through the race.
Just to close the field up.
If things are getting a bit lackadaisical, bring the field back together. Let's amp up the.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's amp up the excitement.
Well, it's clearly working because I did see something pop up on my feed during the week. I think it was during the week, or it could have even been today. Basically, the NASCAR has more ratings than Formula One, and I don't know if that was just in America or if that was worldwide.
Well,
but whatever the graphic was, it was showing that
if that's the case.
Yeah, NASCAR had more viewership than
it's got to be because America's got a lot of people. I assume I don't know the number or the figure, but it's
over 100 million.
Yeah, it's a big sport over there, so I could understand that. Whereas Formula One. Like, Formula 1's exploded recently, but, like, it definitely used to be European only, specific viewership, effectively.
Yeah, and if you're a long-term viewer, like us, we're not the oldest viewers out there, but we've been watching the sport for a while, and we were watching it before this kind of big shift that it's gone through over the last few years.
Yeah.
When you watch these European tracks, they are a great touch point to where the sport has come from, and there is so much history, and you don't want to lose that. But at the same time, you do watch these cars on these tracks and you're like, they don't belong there. These cars do not belong there. Like, they're so big.
Yeah.
How are they going to race? And, like, they made it work well enough. But I think overall, it wasn't the most entertaining race. I mean,
no, it wasn't.
I could tell you were falling asleep, or you even said you were drifting off.
I was like,
the safety car happened.
Was nodding off just when I heard him bringing up the safety car. The actual safety car.
So
that's all I'm asking from Formula One. Use the safety car. No, you don't have to bring competition cautions because you don't need to manipulate the sport. Like, there's too much money involved. I get it.
No, but bring out the car.
Bring out the safety car.
Press the field.
Yeah, like
and let them race again.
Produces excitement. You have the ability to do what you need to do safely, but also shake things up a little bit.
Well, not only that, how long did it take to remove Antonelli's car?
Know what happened there?
I mean, it wasn't even a crash. It was just a breakdown.
Yeah.
And yet it helped Oscar to a point, probably because he had old as fuck tires. But I could not believe how long it took to clear. I mean,
it was a good, I want to say like 7 laps, hey?
Yeah. So, like, so much time wasted on, racing time just for such a simple incident, if you want to call it.
Yeah, it's not like Yuki's where they had to repair the barrier and inspect the catch fencing.
Talking crashes,
Yeah, it was literally a breakdown. They should have just been able to push him off the same way they did to Ocon or whoever it was who went out in the Haas.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so the next category is the hard luck category. So I think nobody is more fitting for this one than Antonelli. Rough weekend, home race, and a DNF.
That is true. And a fight back.
Good,
good
fight back.
Wherever he qualified, it was out of position.
I mean, he was back up where George was, which is, again, that's your
where he wants to be.
Point of reference.
So it was a good fight back, and it was eerily similar to Australia, where he had shit qualifying, and he just raced back to 5th or 4th, whatever he was.
Yeah.
You know, he's got some racecraft about him.
Yeah, so bit of a rough weekend, but kind of in the spirit of let's say race winning drivers and potential championship winners. How many have debuted with DNFs? I mean, Oscar did
he?
As an example. Yeah, his first race ended in a DNF. It seems to be a little bit of a trend for good drivers. Debuts or like home races. These sorts of important races, they always seem to not go the way you hope. You never really get the fairy tale.
Yeah, you're right.
Ending.
I mean, it has been his worst race of the season, and for no fault of his own. Again, he just pulled off the track.
No, and he's probably thinking, why this race of all races? So, you know, all his friends, family. I think I saw his classmates were there.
Yeah.
So yeah,
saw that.
Hard luck.
So my hard luck, I think, is us, the Formula One fans, the Tifosi, for the loss of Imola.
Well, it's not confirmed, but yeah.
Well, it's not on the track next season, I believe I've heard, so it might come back. But while we're on the subject, I've got a top 5 for you.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Oh, top 5 is making an appearance.
Making a return.
I like it.
So top 5 tracks, in my opinion, of course, no longer on the F1 calendar.
So they're past tracks?
Tracks that have previously been on the calendar that I think are banging.
Yeah. So not tracks that are going, tracks that are already
tracks
gone.
that are already gone.
Yep.
Yep.
Cool. Sounds good.
So let me know if you don't know any of these.
Probably. Oh, I won't know most of them.
So number 5.
They always have stupid names.
I haven't written the names down because some of them I bloody couldn't even pronounce. You know what I'm saying? So number 5, we've got Istanbul Park in Turkey.
Yeah,
remember that one?
No.
That's the one in 2020. Again, COVID track came back. When it was wet and the track was drying, but the inters effectively just turned into dry tires. They cut the tread all the way down, and Hamilton
won. That was a good race.
Just finishing on inters that had cut themselves into dries.
I didn't realize that was Turkey.
Yeah, it's also the track with the "What the fuck are we doing here? I'm going home."
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So
Bring
good
it
history. Good track. Good track. I mean, being Turkey, I think there might be some issues with that.
Yeah, there's probably
actually, now that I think about it, a lot of these tracks have that issue.
Well, I can think of Russia's one, obviously.
Yeah, no, that's not good. I haven't got that on that list. It's a shit track.
See, I remember that as Lando bottling his first win.
Yeah,
because it rained and
he goes, "Yes, leave, I know what I'm doing," and he goes off like the next corner.
So that sits pretty high in my mind.
Yeah. I mean, that's just making use of an old Olympic stadium.
Yeah,
piss excuse for a track. So number 4, I've got the Indian Grand Prix track. I'm not expecting you to know this one.
No.
I remember 2 things. I think it was 2012. It was still on the track, on the calendar when I first sort of started watching.
Okay.
But I also remember racing on the F1 games. Great little track. Long straights.
Yep.
Lots of chicanes. Good track.
Okay.
Number 3, I've got the Korean Grand Prix.
Yeah.
So
when
again,
did they last race there?
it would have been, I want to say 2012.
Yeah.
Maybe 2013.
Yeah.
But again, I remember this back when Webber was racing and watching him go around there.
Was that
again long straights?
Was that a MotoGP track as well, or was it just the?
I don't know. I don't think. I almost think it was a bit of a hybrid street track type thing.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I just remember it had this big stupid last corner where it's just like a long, almost like a button, like it go in and come back in. And cool track.
Yeah, that does ring a bell.
Yeah, and again, I remember racing that on
F1.
on the F1 games.
Yep.
And even, point of the time we used to watch Formula 1 before it was on Foxtel and you could watch it on replays.
Yep.
I remember we had some weird device you could plug into the PlayStation to record your live TV.
Oh, okay.
So I remember
on the PlayStation.
On the PlayStation, yeah. So you'd play it. I don't remember how it worked because I used to, work on the weekends as well. I remember setting for that race up in 2012, trying to set that up to get the record so I could watch it later on.
So is it a good track because it's a good track, or is it a good track
Could just be my
you
memories.
have
memories?
Yeah.
But I do feel like it's a good track. Like I said, racing it on the old F1 games.
Sure.
Right. So number 2, I got Portimao in Portugal.
Yep.
Another COVID track.
Yeah, I do remember that one.
Yeah, that was the big pile up after the safety car at the back of the pack. Everyone's just flying over each other. Good track. Great track. Great racing track. That one I do think is a MotoGP track as well. Number 1, the Valencia GP in Spain. The old track on like the docks, boat docks they had laid out. Again, that 2012 era.
I do vaguely remember it.
Yeah, I've got memories of Alonso winning there at home.
Is that a street circuit then?
I think you'd class it as a street track because I do remember it being like on the docks.
Yeah.
Every now and then I see photos pop up through Facebook of it now, and they've still got the Armco barriers and they're all just graffitied and torn down. The place is ripped to shreds, So that's the top 5, but I do have a special shout out to Adelaide as well.
I was just going to say, no, I'm surprised no Adelaide, but yeah,
we've beaten Adelaide to death, so I had to get it in there, but I took it out of the top 5.
What about they've raced at quite a few American tracks?
They have. So like Long Beach is good, but I just couldn't imagine like them on that track now. Like it's tight as hell.
Fair.
And I thought about Indianapolis, but that's just not a good Formula 1 track. Like a Roval track. My memories of that track is the 6 cars racing around.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
When the one tire manufacturer wasn't able to race in the Grand Prix, and I don't believe they went back after that. Rightfully so.
You kind of forget just how many tracks the Formula 1 has been to. I mean, lots of forgettable. Looking at you, France.
Yeah. That's a great example.
But yeah, it's almost a shame. Like 24 races is a pretty big F1 season. I mean, that is effectively every second week through a full year, and then you got to account that they take 3 months off as well. So that is a lot of racing. There's a lot of places to go to. So you can't really see how they could add any more rounds than that.
No.
Short of racing every single week.
Yeah, and that's
Which,
the thing about Imola. Like, that's what I mean. There's a lot of good tracks that could be on the calendar. So that one coming off, it's a shame. But
yeah,
you know, if it's getting replaced with something better,
yeah, or if they do move to this, you know, one off, they just have to be careful how they balance it. Like, it would be a shame if you lost Spa, but then you still had like 2 Italian races.
Yeah, you can't take Spa off. That is just wrong.
Okay, let's continue then. So, AFK is the next category.
Yep.
So this one, for me, goes to the red flag.
The red flag.
The red flag. It went AFK.
Yeah, AFK.
I was convinced that we would see a red flag to this race. I mean, 2 pretty big crashes in qualifying. Quite a few.
A banger.
One massive.
That would have been
where,
a red flag.
Where once again the Halo certainly proved its weight in gold.
Yeah.
So yeah, based on that, I thought for sure this race is getting red flagged at some point.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to stay up an extra half an hour to finish out the race, and yeah, it never came. So
no. I didn't necessarily anticipate red flags because I feel like a couple of years ago they were everywhere. I feel like there were so many races getting red flagged, it was crazy.
Oh yeah, I feel like they love to throw it.
Calmed it down a little bit of late. I definitely expected more carnage even before the race weekend kicked off. But then seeing quali, I didn't watch any practice, but I did hear and see some footage of some other crashes as well. So it was a pretty gnarly lead up.
Lots of spins, lots of like taking too much curb, dipping wheels in grass.
I guess that's what practice is for.
Yeah,
to get into the race and not have such issues. But yeah,
it's funny. It's like because I did watch, like I watched all sessions. I watch everything. I do remember watching the Yuki crash, and just as it happened, having a slight thing inside of like, please be Verstappen. Please be Verstappen. This is the only way we can slow this fucking idiot down. Like, he is just such a beast, especially at Imola. And then, you know, to no surprise, it was Yuki.
It was surprised it was a rollover. When they cut to the static car,
yeah.
You know, I just thought maybe he'd spun all 4 corners along the wall, you know. And they showed that he actually flipped. I was like, oh.
Max just doesn't make mistakes, eh? He's just...
No, and that's what makes it...
Anyway, the 2 things that I was telling everybody that pretty much guaranteed are going to happen was the red flag. I was like, it's going to get red flagged. And I actually didn't think that Verstappen was going to race Piastri so hard. I was in my mind, I thought he would be more concerned about Russell and potentially Norris, and that was where his race was.
Yeah.
So no point, you know, effectively maybe binning it at the first corner and putting a move on. Prove me wrong.
Well, I said to you about, I thought his next win would come at Monaco, which is next round. And I said about it then that he's got nothing to lose. Like, it's interesting. Even the commentators, those shit commentators that aren't the guys, but even they said about if it was the other way around, I don't think you're having the same result.
No,
because Max, and we've seen that corner, Max Hamilton
not giving that.
He's not giving him that space. So Oscar cleverly is aware he does have a lot to lose.
Well, Oscar, yes, but Max used that against him.
Yeah.
So
that's what I mean. Like, I don't necessarily think, as they said on the grid, he was probably thinking, all right, I need to get Oscar. He probably was a bit defensive minded, but when that door opens, you got to go through it, especially that wide. Like,
and he's always going to go for it, isn't he?
Like, if he just goes mid track, not even hard right. Like, he was so far ahead, he could have taken the racing line.
Yeah.
Like George said, the fuck is he doing?
Who's your AFK?
My AFK is Liam Lawson. And that might be the nicest thing I've ever said about him. Well, we did not hear from him, including no penalties, no dumb racing.
No.
This was the cleanest race from him, and it netted in nothing.
Where did he finish? 14th or something?
Out of the points.
Out of the points.
Did Hadjar? He got 9th, didn't he?
He got 9th. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he finished ahead of Hadjar. Sonoda, which is in my next category. Thanks for stepping on that.
Sorry about that. So yeah, I think that's the nicest thing I've ever said about Liam Lawson is we just didn't hear from him.
Good for you.
Yeah. He should be chuffed.
Progress.
Yeah.
So side quest, I gave that one to Hadjar.
Okay.
So finished ahead of his future seat, Sonoda.
Yeah. Common.
Keeps going like this, he's going to be in there next year.
Yeah.
I mean, who else are they going to turn to?
What?
And if he doesn't want that, he better ease up. Because
is this the first time since 2016 we've seen the junior team actually do its job and
not even
build
just
up
actually,
a driver?
Well, yeah, that's true. So there would be absolutely no point in ripping him out of that seat and chucking him
No.
into a
Let
Red
him
Bull and
learn
just
the
destroying
tracks.
his confidence.
Let him, exactly.
So,
No need to rush it.
yeah, my side quest is just keeping an eye on him and what he's doing. And I still go back to my pre-season ep.
He's
And
got to
I-
be replaced.
Yeah, I had him as replaced.
No faith, huh?
But there's
No
probably
faith in the French.
there's probably a few drivers ahead of him that
Oh, yeah.
certainly going to be replaced before him. So,
He's in it for the long haul. I think he's...
yeah,
It'd
it's
be
great.
interesting.
There was even a snippet where he was racing Antonelli, and it was good racing. And I thought, this is the next generation here, you know, and it's
yeah,
good to
those
see.
two,
Like
yeah.
these guys look good,
Yeah.
and you can just see that they're going to have a lot of future battles. You know,
Yeah.
once that sort of Verstappen, Piastri, and like we're entering the Piastri era now. We've got a
Yeah.
long time to go.
Yeah.
Leclerc's kind of still in that, you know, conversation. There's a few of these names that they're starting to get on, but we can already see what that next generation looks like.
Yeah.
So
Leclerc's an interesting one. You know,
that's a
if Ferrari don't get their shit together.
no.
My side quest, I think it's actually goes to Mick Doohan. Did you see his...
For Cadillac.
his no.
Oh, sorry,
Mick
Mick Dillon.
Yeah.
Sorry.
For the
For
Insta...
you're talking about his father. Yep.
Yeah. For the he posted Franco's crash on Instagram, and he just got knocked himself,
And then quickly
deleted
it. Yeah.
Yeah. which is a bit weak. I
Mm.
would have left it up if I was him. I mean, the world's going to see it.
He
Like,
knows.
people captured it.
You can't delete something forever.
No, but
So-
just roll with it.
Yeah.
Just roll with it. You made that decision. You're loving it. Like, and what a great dad. Right?
Well,
Support your son.
that's what I was going to say. You can't even be upset at him.
No.
Because what dad wouldn't do that for
No.
for their son, right?
Like, everyone thinks it. Like, maybe they don't all post it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you know, I appreciate it. I
He's
think
being
it's-
very vocal and going into bat for his son.
well.
Yeah.
$10 million lighter on the quid for what? So
Yeah.
maybe that's another reason for it. But he's not wrong. He just posted what everyone's thinking.
Mm.
Like, you know, that seat's under scrutiny.
Yeah.
Even for
Yeah.
people who aren't Jack fans, like, the nature of Formula One is brutal, and the fact that he got dropped after 5 races, 6, whatever, you're gonna be looking at Franco,
Oh, yeah.
who was a crash kid last year.
Yeah.
You know, so it's all gonna be eyes on him anyway. And of course, first race in, bang, makes a mistake. Mick just posted what we were all thinking,
Yeah.
and I love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it.
Gets a follow from me.
Yeah.
All right, so the final category is Easter egg. What do you got? What was your Easter egg?
So my Easter egg was Ted Kravitz.
Yeah.
Wasn't it so nice hearing his voice this weekend? With the lack of Brundle and the lack of
As in the only point of kind of the
just
regular.
the consistency. Yeah.
Yeah.
So now the 24 race season,
He's very good.
The main guys get 3 or 4 races off.
Mm.
We've said it before, but man, when they do it together,
I'm
it is
surprised that they had
pain.
Imola off. Imola seems like one that they would want to be at.
Yeah. I mean, I think Brundle's already had 2 off, maybe this
Mm.
season already.
Yeah.
And normally he saves it for the scary countries.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, right. Unless it's a bit of a painful,
Ted Kravitz is definitely one of the best things in Formula One. I'll give him credit
it
for
was
that. He's
so nice hearing his voice.
yeah.
You got those 2 melons up in the commentary box who, not great
Mm.
commentators. They just don't invoke passion.
No. Not like
So-
Ted does, not like
Yeah.
Crofty.
And Brundle, yeah. So
Yeah,
you
Brundle.
got, when they cut to Ted, I was like, oh, this is nice.
Yeah.
And even when the radio comes up, there's no 2 secs Ted. He would cut himself off and go, oh, radio, and he'd just wait.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah,
Yeah.
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 Yep.
Oh, I loved it.
Nothing will get you going like the sound of Ted Kravitz. Huh?
Yeah. So I guess my new question is he the new voice of Formula One? I mean, we know
He's definitely a part of it. He's iconic to it at the moment.
from some
But is he
upcoming
the
projects.
voice?
We know from some upcoming projects he's been in the sport in this role
For a
a
long time.
bloody long time.
Longer than you realize, eh?
Longer than
Yeah.
you realize, absolutely. Like, what a great trio those 3 are.
One of the few commentators, hosts, whatever you want to call it,
Pit lane reporter, yeah.
pit lane reporter who loves to get the pins out. It's always in shorts. I've never seen him in anything other than shorts.
Yeah,
Loves it.
Right, he does love it.
Yeah.
It's a part of his look.
It's his uniform, isn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, he's
Loves to show off a bit of knee.
he's
you know?
great. He's great.
Okay, so my Easter egg, since we're getting a little bit spicy.
Mm.
Again, this guy touched me like in Bahrain.
You got to do the voice.
I was going to, but
Go on,
you know,
give me the
I
voice.
didn't want to, you know,
Do you want to offend anyone?
didn't want to offend anyone. Yeah. God, that made me laugh. That was
That was good.
That was good.
Does he know it's not what's his name, Lawson in that car still?
Yeah, probably not. Yeah. Good way. Look, to be fair, it's probably hard to see Yuki down in there.
True.
You know,
Yeah.
so,
yeah.
But yeah, that was probably one of the funniest moments for me in the
Yeah,
the Grand
That was
Grand
pretty
Prix.
good. You got to love Signs. He's good on the radio.
Yeah, great wording.
Driver rankings.
All right, let's go through the ranks. So we'll start with bronze. Who did you have for this week?
So for bronze, I have Charles Leclerc.
Oh, okay. He made your top 5.
He did. I think he didn't benefit from any safety car shenanigans and luck.
Didn't he?
I don't think he did.
I thought
I can't remember every particular.
Oh no, he because
nook and cranny, but
he
he
didn't have tires.
He didn't have tires at the
Yeah.
exactly. He didn't have tires at the end,
Mhm.
which was a disadvantage. But he had a couple of rants on the radio about never benefiting from the safety car and always,
Him,
having bad luck.
both him and Fernando.
Yeah, but I think he absolutely raced his heart out
Mhm.
this race. He's really, really pushing, letting his frustrations not get the better of him and pushing him into a good result, effectively.
Yeah.
Had some good battles, and finishing 6th is probably 5th was absolutely maximizing what he had. So
Do you have Hamilton in your ranks at all?
mind your own business. No, I don't.
Okay.
No,
All right. All right. Well, my bronze goes to Lando
Why would I have
Norris.
Hamilton when this is a skill-based section, not a luck-based section?
Yeah, he did finish higher, but yeah, sure.
Based on
Just
based on
curious.
luck, of course.
Just
yeah.
curious. Yeah.
Based on luck.
I have Lando Norris for bronze, so maybe a little bit harsh, maybe not for me.
Yeah, that's
Um,
right. I support your decisions.
Well, it's that thing of right. You got the machinery, and then what do you do with it?
Yeah,
Qualified
exactly.
4th, managed to get 2nd, but didn't really do anything.
No, lucked into it. He had a George Russell strap to
and
do nothing, get a podium.
Well, and he couldn't catch Max at all. It just
No.
was permanently 10 seconds behind him.
Yeah.
Wasn't gaining on him in any way.
Not at all.
So yeah, bit of a mediocre race for him, but comes out somehow looking better.
Yeah.
So
So I've got him silver. I think the biggest takeaway is you and me we could say right now why Oscar didn't win the race.
Yeah.
But you can't tell me why Lando didn't win the race.
yeah, well that's a good
He
point.
didn't win the
Yeah.
race based on just not being there, not being quick enough.
No.
Not being quick enough in quali,
Well,
not being able to attack at all in the race.
well, it's not like Piastri lost his pole through, bad decisions or whatever.
Mm.
He did get jumped by Max,
Yeah.
but then the team effectively strategized him out of the fight.
Absolutely. Yeah. of
So,
course.
whereas Lando had a poor qualifying.
Yeah.
And then just kind of was just there.
Exactly right. Yeah, I've probably got him, I've got him higher than you,
Mhm.
but he only really had one good pass, and that was on George.
Russell.
Yeah, there was a decent pass on him, but then just lack of pace, and he lucked into a 2nd place. Just a better strat, a more standard strat A, if you will.
I saw a nickname floating around for Lando. I hadn't seen it before until now, but kind of maybe applies to here. Blando.
I like it.
He had
I
a
like
bland
it.
race.
We can roll with that. He's
and
a
he
bland
certainly had
character.
a bland qualifying. So.
Yeah, he's a bland person. Bland
Blando.
interviews. I like it.
Silver, I had Alex Albon. So
Okay.
we've spoken about Williams' consistency.
Yeah.
He's definitely he can shoulder a lot of that. So I think if anything, he probably could be higher. But I think if anything, maybe he should have just remained a bit more patient in fighting the Ferraris, and he could have potentially finished in that 4th spot or even snagged a 3rd.
Yeah.
We probably see it a little bit different. He was unlucky with how Charles treated him.
Yeah,
And
and
then-
that's you're exactly right. I've got him in gold. So yeah, we're pretty on
Sort of
par
like
here
for
for our
like.
drivers here.
Yeah.
He's I think that pass was absolutely on. Turn 1 outside of Tombrello, we discussed it. It's the prime overtaking spot.
Mm.
With the DRS, you get alongside. We saw that pass happen many times.
Yeah.
Obviously, it takes 2 to tango.
Mhm.
The car on the inside has to give you a bit of room depending on their fucking mood.
Yeah.
And Charles was clearly not in the mood. So
No.
he did force him off.
He was done and done. He was like, I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm out.
Yeah.
Like,
And whether that was to give Lewis free passage, which he's done numerous times this season. We've seen him cut cars wide and play games to allow free passage for Lulu.
Good point.
So whether that was what he was doing, but regardless, it was a bit rude.
Yeah.
Ferrari felt it was a bit rude and
Yeah.
asked him to redress 3 laps later.
Yeah.
But I think Alex absolutely had a good race, qualified well, pretty much finished where he should have, if not, one spot higher. He probably could have fended off Lewis. Like, they both had the similar age tyre. We've discussed how Williams might be the 4th quickest car, 1 spot ahead of
Just
the Ferrari.
taking out of the fight a little bit too much from Charles there.
Yeah. So a bit of a shame, but yeah, he just had a nice strong race, which is what Williams need at the moment.
I had Hamilton for my gold rank. So obviously you don't have Hamilton in your top 5, but
Because he lucked into it. Yeah.
yeah, bit of luck. I think you probably been a bit harsh. He still had to put on quite a few moves, make his way through the
Not
field.
hard for a 7-time world champion.
Well, it shouldn't be.
You get luck in his corner, it helps.
And you got one of the oldest motorsport teams powering you.
Yeah.
You're at your effectively one of your home Grand Prix. I think good recovery drive. Just missed out on a podium. If he had one more lap, he probably gets Oscar.
I don't think one more lap, but obviously as soon as he gets into DRS, it's a different story.
Well, by the time he got past Albon and Charles, whatever that mess was, he was 3 seconds behind Piastri.
Yeah.
By the end of the final lap, he was basically a second and a half. So he was gaining on him quick, which so he should. He had nice fresh tyres or fresh air
exactly
tyres.
right.
But yeah, look, Ferrari have had a pretty putrid season so far.
Yeah.
So I think he would be probably, if you were to tell him he was going to finish 4th at the beginning of the race, he probably would have taken that for sure.
Oh, for qualifying where they were.
Yeah.
I still think luck comes into it. And, skill.
Hey, that's Formula One. That's Formula One.
Skill-based awards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who you got?
So my platinum. And
Platinum. We're talking about gold, aren't we? Oh, you already
I
said
went
you
first,
got.
didn't
Sorry. Yeah.
Get your head in the game. Come on.
Well,
Sort
it's not like we've already done this before.
it out. It's chalk up to learning.
Yeah.
So my platinum is, and I fear yours is the same, Oscar Piastri.
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
Yes.
good.
Well spotted.
So yeah, he finished 3rd, and I've placed him as the 2nd most skilled driver
Mhm.
because we saw his cool, calm head prevail when straight away he would have known probably 2-3 laps post his stop, and he was caught up in traffic and Max wasn't stopping. Probably knew straight away. Okay, something's gone awry here. I'm up shit's creek.
Yeah.
Got a lot of cars to pass. He came out 12th. He ended up 3rd after that sort of whole debacle.
Yeah.
Passed a heck of a lot of cars. Had it all clean. Did it all well. Didn't muck around.
Lucky not to collect any sort of damage through that whole that whole session.
Yeah. If he didn't have such a cool head, if he allowed himself to get flustered and frustrated, then the passes probably aren't as neat, tidy, and he doesn't collect a 3rd, which, let's be honest, straight away, as soon as he lost that spot, that's pretty much where he was headed.
Yeah.
Was
Yeah.
Best case 3rd.
Best
And
case
he-
scenario.
So he basically,
He sort of recovered his drive back to minimize any
it was damage limitation.
championship damage. Yeah. With Lando there.
Yeah.
So that means Diamond is maxi pad.
Maxi pad, Master Verstappen.
Both in ingredients on that one.
Yeah.
What's more to say, really? How much do you think is max? How much do you think is the upgrades?
Max has always got a big old hand in it.
Mm.
It's probably 50-50. He can clearly outdrive the thing when it needs to be, but the fact that car was properly quick.
Yeah.
He wasn't holding up the McLarens. Like, it was
No, he was down the road, wasn't he?
quicker
Yeah.
than the McLarens. So the car's definitely had a big upgrade. And we saw in Suzuka, he was able to keep him at bay, but they were quicker. So the races he's won in the past, he hasn't been the quickest. He's had a master stroke and quality
No.
track positions king.
It looked like in the past it's been more defensive driving, where this was offensive
He had
driving.
the time. Isn't it funny that Max picks up in the 2nd slowest car in the tractor of the field multiple race wins this season before Lando.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah, that's very true. Yeah. Good
Lando
pickup.
championship contender. Lando era of
yeah.
still sitting on 1 race win, which was round 1. Here we are 6 races later.
And Max in
Max
that's
is a
good
dual
pickup.
winner on this season.
Credit to Max. I gotta respect the guy. Like this dude is definitely a pure racer.
Yeah.
I mean, he's decked out in Red Bull gear head to toe 24/7. I'm sure he sleeps in Red Bull gear.
Yep.
But when he's not in an F1 car, he seems to be collecting accolades in other racing categories,
Yeah.
just doing little side quests. which
Breaking
is
world records at the Nürburgring.
Unbelievable that talent can translate to other cars. I mean, I did hear him talking about it to, I think it was Behrman, and saying about how grippy the car was in whatever it was that he won. So, if you're racing Formula One and that's the most complex version of motorsport, and then you go into these other categories, maybe they seem a little easier than they should for most. But, when he's not doing that, he's in the fucking sim rig. So this dude just wants to always be racing. I got to respect that.
Yeah. I mean, racer's got to race, and he's a racer's racer. Racer at heart.
He is. All right. Wrap it up.
A little bit of Sunday sesh before you get out of here.
SESH, yeah.
Sunday SESH.
So I'll give you a question, and if you get it right,
That'd be nice.
you are a F1 purist. If you get it wrong, you're a Drive to Survive fanboy.
Okay. No, nobody wants that.
No, and the Box Box Bashers get a tick in the column that you don't. So
Sounds simple.
I'm rooting for the Bashers, not rooting for you. All right. So on this day, Joe Schlesser was born.
Joe Schlesser.
Schlesser. Yeah, he's French, believe it or not.
Yeah, right.
Could have fooled me. He raced in 3 Grand Prix for 2 different teams over 3 seasons from 1966 to 1968. There's part-time.
Okay. Yep.
Part-timer as fuck. You with me?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The team he raced for in 1968 designed a radical air-cooled car. A car John Surtees deemed a death trap and refused to race.
Right.
Schlesser jumped aboard for his home Grand Prix in France. He unfortunately died during this Grand Prix.
Oh, he died.
He died, yep.
Oh,
I mean, it's the time, it's the era of Formula 1, 60s, for that
Deaths
sorts
were
of things
just
to
a part of
happen.
it. Yeah.
It was his 3rd Grand Prix in 3 years, so it's a bit unfortunate. So the question to you is, which of the current engine constructors on the grid today left the sport after this tragic event? They were the constructor for this car.
Okay. I was worried there wasn't a question in there because that was quite a long,
I had to give you some nice
history lesson.
Yeah, exactly.
So thanks for that.
Yep.
Okay. So just give me the black and white version.
So yeah, he crashed and died.
So there's a team on the grid today that left the sport.
Well,
as a result of
engine
his death.
constructor that's on the grid today.
Okay.
They built the car back in 1968.
Yeah.
John Surtees, he deemed it a death trap and didn't want to race it.
Okay.
So Joe Schlesser, who was born on this day, jumped in the car. He unfortunately died. Who was the engine constructor of today that built that car and left the sport as a result of the tragedy?
All right. Well, I don't know. So
Well, you got 4 to
I'll
choose
have
from.
I'll have to probably say, like, my mind goes straight to Ferrari just because of the John Surtees connection there. Like, we know that he was a Ferrari guy.
True, that's a good pickup.
We've spoken about him recently.
Okay,
So,
okay. I like where your head's going.
so yeah, I'll look in Ferrari.
I love it because you're wrong. I like where your head's
Really?
going.
Really?
I didn't make that connection as I might have bumsteered you, but I like it.
All right. Okay.
I like a good
yeah.
bum
So you not intentional baiting.
No, it's just a good little factoid because everyone knows John Surtees. He's a legend of the sport. Refused to drive this death trap, which turned into be a death trap. It was Honda.
That was Honda were back then.
Yeah.
Even.
So Honda built the car.
Geez, so they've been around for a long time.
Yeah, Honda built the car. They then left as a result, which is not uncommon in Formula One. We've seen a lot of suppliers, constructors, manufacturers leave the sport as a result of something very bad happening.
Death.
Yep. A la Mercedes.
Yep.
But happened here. So the car was made of magnesium.
Jeez, that
And
sounds
it
heavy.
was a full tank fuel because it was the opening laps. So
Yeah,
burst into flames, and he
that is
didn't have a whole lot of
That is a death trap.
didn't have a whole lot of options to retreat.
Thanks for the history lesson.
Yeah, no, that's all right. That's what I'm here for. I've got to provide something to the pod here.
All right, good shit. Monaco next week or this week.
Yep, looking forward to it.
One of the kinder races for us in terms of time, so that's great.
Yep.
Get some more Z's.
Hopefully, I'm less sick and we can pod through in a strong manner.
Don't make me sick. I say. All right, GG's.
So, look forward to it.
Bye.
See you there.
Game over.